I'm a conservative, and I think that Iraq was a mistake. I'm very clear about this. I think that most foreign entanglements are a mistake. I also think it's pretty damn clear to the entire world that Iran having nuclear capabilities. I heard one person say, oh, they say death to America in Seattle. Should we bomb them?
Whoa.
Yes. But
of course.
They don't.
Are they close to nuclear capabilities? And have they launched hundreds of missiles? So the latest on Iran, we just played that clip for you. And of course, that mirrors Trump's most recent comment on Truth Social, where he just wrote, unconditional surrender. That's it. Pretty clear.
He's a man of few words sometimes.
Yes. Well, a man of more words. He gets to be a little flowery. The Ayatollah Khomeini took to, this is a funny phrase. The Ayatollah Khomeini took to X.
I know.
To threaten the United States.
He has a social team.
It's about as funny to me as Saddam Hussein being found in his bunker with Avengers comics and Raisin Bran Crunch. Yeah. Not standard Raisin Bran, the Crunch, mind you. Ooh. He had, it's an entire.
He had the Crunch.
It's an entirely different scenery.
That'll give him away.
The Crunch. It's about. I don't like it gets soggy.
He had Avengers comic books.
That's how they found him. He was crunching.
That's right.
It was sonar.
Looking back, I should have gone with corn pops. That to America. 2 scoops of raisins. So it was an X commercial. So the Ayatollah Khomeini took to X to send this message to the United States. He said, "The U.S. entering in this matter." War, in parentheses, is 100% to its own detriment. The damage it will suffer will be far greater than any harm that Iran may encounter. The harm, that's about the Iranian equivalent of, I am rubber, you are glue.
This will hurt.
It will bounce off me and stick to you. The harm the U.S. will suffer will be irreparable if they enter this conflict militarily. Okay.
So laughable.
Here's the thing. No American lives should be lost for, I think we all agree, should be lost for certain. Let me say this, for certain. No American lives should be lost for a war that is on behalf of Israel. Absolutely. Yep. And I don't think that any American lives should be lost at this point in time to deal with Iran whatsoever. That being said, Israel's interest, separate from the United States' interest, is it in the interest of the Western world for Iran to not have a nuke? And when people talk about us being on the ground, what does that mean right now? Where are we on the ground? Is the United States closer to entering this conflict? So Israel has destroyed about 50% of Iran's missile launch capabilities. Okay, so that's a big one. Hackers attacked Iranian finances. So pro-Israel hackers disabled the Iranian government-linked bank. Oops. And hackers stole $48 million worth of Bitcoin from the Iranian government.
I'd hang on to that.
Yeah, no word yet on their GameStop stock.
They're all in.
And CNN is saying that President Trump is increasingly warm to the idea of using U.S. assets to strike nuclear facilities. So I really haven't seen a change. I know people are saying, oh, okay, the word we. Look, we use the word we often for talking about people with allied interests. That doesn't mean that he's changed his tune at all as far as the United States is going to engage in a ground war, an invasion of Iran. So for the United States, he's made it clear it's about stopping Iran from getting a nuke. And here's something that I think a lot of people maybe don't take into account that has nothing to do with Israel, but also the other, for example, the other Gulf states. Nuclear proliferation. You may not have grown up in the Cold War era where everyone was just racing to sort of have a nuclear deterrent. We would see this in the Middle East, in the Arabic world, as we've never seen it before, as, by the way, pointed out by Mohammed bin Salman of Saudi Arabia in 2023.
If they get one, will you?
If they get one, we have to get one for security reasons, for balancing power in the Middle East, but we don't want to see that.
By the way, that guy looks like a guy who claims he's Muslim but drinks.
Yeah. He goes to parties.
Yeah, that guy.
Yes.
That guy is subscribed to Andrew Tate's podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, are we done? Okay, someone get my Chanel Dracar Noir. We're going to the club.
Hard to take a guy serious. He's got a fan belt on his head.
And a Just for Men perfectly epilated beard.
Yeah, he stole
It's practical.
And by the way, I want to be clear here, just so you, like, there are people having conversations, and the vast majority of Americans believe that it's bad for Iran to get a nuke, and they don't want us entangled in foreign wars. And then Lindsey Graham has to step in and get everything wrong. I don't think I've known anyone more tone deaf or incapable of gauging the temperature.
I hope it's eliminated. I would like to see this regime fall, but I'm going to leave it up to the president as to what to do and when to do it. But I do know this. If we don't take out their nuclear program now, we'll all regret it. We're very close. Be all in, Mr. President, in helping Israel finish the job, and let's see where we're at after we neutralize their nuclear program.
Can someone just...
I just don't like the guy.
Lindsey Graham, can you just punch yourself in your own face? Please. Regime change, 100% all in help. It's like you didn't get the note that people don't want to hear someone who sounds like a mouthpiece for AIPAC.
Did he say regime change?
Yeah, he did. Regime change, and we need to be all in for help. No, we don't.
I'm fine dropping a couple of bombs, but that's actually not what I want to do. I'd rather us not drop any bombs. I 100% am against any kind of a ground invasion to affect this. If they want regime change in Iran, fantastic. They can do it themselves. I think that would be a net positive if they did it, because we've proven incapable. But people are conflating what has happened in Iraq and what happened in Afghanistan and saying that anything related to the Middle East is that. And that's not true.
Right.
Donald Trump proved that when he fried Soleimani. You know who the people that came out and said, he's a warmonger, he's trying to go to war with Iran, it's Israel's war? The left.
Right.
The people on the right doing that now sound exactly like the people on the left in Trump's first term. He hasn't changed.
And by that, you mean in misrepresenting him.
Exactly.
Not in saying no foreign wars unless it's in our interest. No, that doesn't sound like... I get that. I understand this. But saying that Donald Trump has changed his position sounds like the left in that you are misrepresenting him. It's a lie. It's either you've been misinformed or you're lying. He has not changed his position. And that's what I don't care if that pisses people off. And by the way, I agree with his position that Iran shouldn't have a nuke. I agree. How we go about that, there's a conversation to be had.
Right.
I agree with Donald Trump's position, President Trump's position of 20 plus years that is very publicly verifiable that it's bad for Iran to have a nuke, to be anywhere near having nuclear capabilities. I also agree with that same sentiment from the rest of the Arabic Middle Eastern world, just to be clear.
I agree with, I just want to clear, I also agree with Tucker's position that Iran shouldn't have a nuke. I'm sorry, that was Tucker before.
Right, yes, a while ago.
Now, maybe.
And Nick, I know we haven't really, but I believe, I don't want to misrepresent your position. Are you pro-Iran with nukes?
Oh, God, yes. Oh, hell yeah. No. Here's my take on this thing. Out of all the conflicts for the last 50, 60 years in the Middle East and American soldiers getting killed over there and terrorism, there's one common denominator. It's Iran.
Yeah.
Whether it's Hamas, the Houthis, Iran.
Yeah.
They back all that crap.
Yeah.
We're this close to taking them out. We've never done that. That would be called, when they say get at the root of the problem.
Right.
To me, you flatten them.
Yeah.
Then you might have long-lasting peace in the Middle East.
Right.
We've never really considered that, taking them out completely. And we don't have to have American soldiers die if you have these bunker busts. We're this close. Sorry, people go, how do you know they're telling? I don't know. You got to, at some point, you got to take the IEA's word for it, and they're still enriching uranium way above civilian levels.
Yes.
What's that, all bullshit?
Right.
Iran admitted it. I don't have to take anybody's
That's
word.
right.
They admitted it.
That's right.
Yeah, they admitted it. And here's the thing. Everything you just said is completely valid and reflects most Americans' viewpoints. And you will get a group of rabid dogs on you because you use the word we. And they go, see, you're paid by AIPAC.
What?
Well, if I can
I know,
use
Nick, he doesn't even like Jews.
What are you talking about? I'm in show business. I have to like. I got an agent. I got a manager. I got a.
True.
No, I defend Israel all the time on my and your fans, I'm guessing, and my fans would always question me on that too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But is that what we do now? We abandon our ally. This thought that Israel is going to nuke us eventually.
Yeah.
What if Iran takes out Israel? Let's say they took out Israel. Who's number 2 on the list?
Right.
Not going to blow up, Sandals Resort in Jamaica. America's next.
I mean,
Yes.
maybe.
Right?
Yeah, it's the only resort where you
I know
get secondhand high.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no.
I don't see the downside here. Again, it's not going to take putting a bunch of American soldiers at risk.
Right.
If we're as close as they say they are.
Well, here's the thing, too.
Look, one more thing.
Yeah.
It's choosing the lesser of two evils. If you people that don't like Jews and stuff, you want to put it that way, fine. But I don't remember Israel. It's the Palestinians and the Arabs killing American soldiers for the last, I don't know how many years.
That's a very important point because a lot of people say they have attacked Americans many, many, many times, Iran. They have killed many American soldiers.
Of course.
And they want to kill more.
And they're behind it a lot of time. The one you don't even hear their name come
Right,
up.
yeah.
And then you find out a month later who's behind it. And it didn't help that shithead Obama sent a pallet over there with $8 billion on it.
Yeah, no.
All that crap. I can't believe he can still show his face in his country. So it's all moot. Go ahead.
It's true, though. We're funding both sides of the war, which we need to stop doing.
Yeah.
I think after this, you know what else? Let me be really clear, too. You know what I also think would, tell me if you think this would go a long way for people who really don't want, and this is what I would argue if I was saying, if I was one of those people saying, Iran having a nuke is not a threat. Or if I was saying, hey, Israel should take care of it, and we don't want to be in any foreign entanglements. How about setting up beforehand the rule with refugees? None. Right? Because I do get it that Israel has encouraged mass migration and accepting of refugees to other countries that they don't necessarily allow to the same degree there. Hey, what if we set those rules beforehand? Hey, this is not going to be like Syria. This is not going to be like Iraq. We are not going to take in refugees. How about we just end that policy? No. If we turn you into Superman's dad's fortress, you deal with it. We're not going to help you. Would that also help? Because I also understand that would be a conversation that I would entertain. And I also think that, hey, Israel, we need to be able to see what you guys are doing with your nukes.
100%. 100%. You need less influence on American politics and politicians. We shouldn't be dragged into any wars on your behalf. You can handle yourselves. How is this a controversial position?
Right.
People have gotten so Jews bad that they cannot objectively look at a situation that involves the Jews and not go, they must be the bad guy.
Right.
Let me ask you a question.
And some Jews are bad.
Yeah, some.
At the very least, incredibly annoying.
Very.
Oh, yeah, all the ones that write those Broadway plays.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I forget about your Ethel Merman shrine to appease your manager and agent. You should see him do his rendition of Clang, Clang, Clang went the trolley.
What did the Ayatollah say today about us being, something was going to happen big today?
Yeah, he said,
what did he say?
There was something where he
We'll
said
never
that
forget.
last night. There was something. Yeah, I stayed up late.
I did.
I didn't
I was like, wait, is it Sunday? Nothing happened.
I was at the hotel looking out the window.
Yeah.
If they're going to be talking about it for centuries, I want to know.
Yeah.
No?
Let me ask you this. God, don't let me forget my question here.
Oh, it was about Iran. We were talking about the Jews. We were
No,
talking,
no, the only reason that gave me a little concern is because, and I don't know if this crossed your minds when he made that threat, there are 2 million people in this country we don't know where they are that Biden let in.
Yeah.
And a lot of them look like the people we're talking about right now.
Yep.
So that crossed my mind.
Yep. And
there might be something being planned.
But that is an important point. That's also why, thank God, we have a sealed southern border, and we need to step up deportations.
Correct.
Because we don't know who's coming here. We know that Al Qaeda. We know that ISIS have taken advantage of the porous borders. We know that Chinese nationals have who are spies. I don't want AIPAC influence. I don't want any Qatari influence. I don't want, by the way, any Saudi Arabian influence. I think we're way too tied to these people across the board. I also think that Iran having nukes is a bad idea, and that means that everyone in that region will have to get nukes. And anyway, let's go to Tucker Carlson. So Tucker Carlson,
Same subject, different people.
well, and he was interviewing Ted Cruz. This is making the rounds. I want to know where you line up here on this one. And to be clear, you know, I was at full disclosure. I've spent time with him at Fox News. There were a couple of rap parties there too, and I used to do a segment on Sunday that he would often host. Tucker Carlson. He's always been very kind to me personally. Our interactions have been pleasant, and I've invited Tucker Carlson on the show, largely because of honestly some things that I'd like to understand, because there are certain positions that to me are inconsistent that I can't fill in the gaps. So he had Senator Ted Cruz on, and he was asking him about Iran, and I would say this. It's a perfect example, and I've been in these situations of gotcha journalism, and I want you to sort of use this threshold. If Senator Ted Cruz were to give a generalized answer, and by the way, he should have been better prepared for sure.
Yeah.
If he were to give a generalized answer, would it suffice? I guarantee you it wouldn't. And that's not the kind of journalism that I like, but let's run this first clip.
How many people live in Iran, by the way?
I don't know the population.
At all?
No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
How many people live in Iran?
92 million.
Okay. Yeah,
How could you not know that?
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Well, it's kind of relevant because you're calling for the overthrow of the government.
Why is it relevant whether it's,
because,
it's 90 million or 80 million or 100 million? Why is that relevant?
Because if you don't know anything about the country...
I didn't say I don't know anything about
Okay, what's the ethnic mix of Iran?
Puerto Rican and Polish.
They are Persians and predominantly Shia. Okay, this is cute.
It's not
okay.
even...
Hold on,
you don't know
pause.
anything about Iran.
Pause. So I was watching this live with late this morning. I'll play it and go pause as though I'm watching it live. And I said, around 100 million? It's pretty close, 90-something million. That answer wouldn't suffice, I guarantee you. If I were to say about 100 million, you go, it's actually 90 and have the decimal. Okay. What are you doing? What are you doing there? What are you doing there, Nick?
CNN.
Nick, relax. Applejack. There you go. Okay. So
Put that back. I want to see that.
I said about 100 million. What's the ethnic makeup? I was sitting there going, okay, pause. It's anywhere from 80 to 90% Persian, Assyrian. I know that I've read that there's as much as 3% Christian. I've seen it as low as 0.15. So there's a number in there. You have some Turks. Would that suffice? Because that's about enough that you would need to be a national security advisor. The number that really matters is what percentage of these people are interested in a regime change themselves. Mm-hmm. And so when you ask those questions, and here's the thing, people can be wrong. There's a difference between being misleading and not knowing everything. For example, I didn't know that the Assyrians were technically an Arabic Semitic people. I was like, are they Persian? Are they? And I talked about this during run-through where I'm like, man, I'm afraid to say that because I know some of you will go, you idiot. How did you not know that about the Assyrians? And I should know it because I have a friend who's Assyrian, Beni Dariush in UFC. I know Patrick Bet David is Assyrian. But I don't know everything about Iran. Would that suffice? If you are in a position where you're answering a question and you were to give a pretty accurate answer that shows that you're informed, but you haven't brushed up on this in granular detail, and someone says, you're wrong, that's got you. Let's continue.
Thing about Iran. So
okay,
actually,
I am not the Tucker Carlson expert on Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government.
You're the one who
don't know anything about the country.
Okay, and then of course, another son is not letting the guy finish. I do think that Ted Cruz, Senator Cruz, could have been better prepared and knew what he was walking into.
But listen, here's what he got right: Persian, Shia.
Yes.
The most important part of that, Shia. You need to understand the ideology of a group of people. You need to understand what they believe. And mostly we're talking about the leadership, even though 90 to 95% of the people identify as Shia.
Right.
And we're like secular Muslims in a lot of ways.
Well, remember when the leftist media said, Donald Trump couldn't name you all of the nations involved with the Arab Spring? Do you remember that? Does he need to, though, when he's running for the presidency, or is he going to have people who know those details?
I'm sure Kamala had him down pat.
Yeah, exactly. Although she hadn't been there, nor Europe. So the clip has been, of course, celebrated by the usual suspects. Hassan Piker. Why is Tucker Carlson capable of conducting an adversarial interview about the dangers of American intervention in Iran with Ted Cruz better than everyone else in legacy media?
He didn't.
Martyr Maid, Dave Smith, they were all saying that this was a great interview and that Ted was really caught flat-footed. Let me know what you think. I think he should have been better prepared. I think that if he was going in, he kind of knew what kind of an interview, hopefully, because we always let people know if they come, even with, for example, ICE director,
Tom Homan.
Czar, Border Czar Tom Homan. I'm trying to think of it. It's ICE executive director.
I know.
Border Czar Tom Homan yesterday. We let him know, hey, by the way, it's a comedy show.
Yeah.
And we're going to have you photoshopped on the naked Coppertone baby. And he asked for it. He thought it was funny.
Yeah.
They thought it was funny.
It's his new profile.
I like it how you put my head on Shirley Temple. Can you send me the clip?
Yeah.
It's
hilarious.
Yes, we can. Thank you.
By the way, I don't know that if I was prepping for this, I don't know that I would have looked up the exact population of Iran because it's irrelevant.
Right.
It's irrelevant at this point. We're not talking about a ground invasion. If you want to ask the question, I think your question was how many people want regime change and how many, how many people would that displace? That's a more relevant question, but that's not what Tucker asked. He was trying to do a gotcha question like, hey, here's the geography stuff.
Who do you replace him with? The Smothers Brothers?
No, just
that's the other question.
The Bash
you want
Brothers. It's
regime
like,
change.
all right, welcome us, Iran.
So let's bring in the Grambling Marching Band. Who are you going to replace him with? There's a lot of questions. I'm Ted Cruz, man. I used to be high on him. Sorry.
Me too.
No, he's been around forever, and nothing got done under him. I'm just tired of hearing how smart he is.
You're with him there?
I'm with him. I'm
with him there.
He's sort of a do-nothing.
I'll tell you what. He came in here, and he was on the show.
I know.
His handlers came in and said, you only get this amount of time, and they said you have to take the liquor off the shelves. I said, I just watched an interview where he said his favorite drink was American bourbon. I'm not taking the liquor off of the bar shelf.
No, I mean.
So I don't know how much of it is Senator Cruz. I know his people around him.
Right. I generally like him, but my problem is he has not done nearly enough. He's been very ineffective in a lot of ways that are important to the voters that he said he would be effective in, and that's just not happening.
Alan Dershowitz said he was the best student he ever had at Harvard. I mean, he's a smart guy.
Yeah,
so I would expect more to get, but I don't know just how hands-on senators are in getting shit done anymore.
Yeah, he is known to be quite a learned man. Actually, Build-A-Bear even jumped on the bandwagon to sell their new line of Teddy Teach-A-Lots.
Teddy, how far away is Saturn?
I don't know.
It's not their best seller at Build-A-Bear.
How can we invade Saturn if we don't know how far away it is?
Yeah.
Son of a gun.
Yeah, how many Martians live? What's their ethnicity? They're green and purple, black.
Not to be confused with the Lindsey Graham, the Teddy Cuckspin. So, comes with a small chair.
How did we not know that one before today?
That's a beauty.
The second half of the clip got less attention, but I actually think raises, I would argue, some more important questions.
No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the one who claims they're not trying to murder Donald Trump. You're the
I'm
one
not saying that.
who can't figure out if it was a
saying
good
you don't
idea to kill
believe-
General Soleimani, and you said it was bad.
believe they're trying to murder Trump.
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really believe
we're
that,
carrying out military strikes today.
you said Israel was.
Right, with our help. I said we. Israel is leading them, but we're supporting them.
Well, you're breaking news here because the U.S. government last night denied, the National Security Council spokesman Alex Pfeiffer denied on behalf of Trump that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive capacity.
No, we're not bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
We are supporting
This is
Israel.
high stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government is
That's not honest.
Iran right now, people are listening.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me just tell you, that's not honest. And all references are available, link in the description. Let me just walk you through this. The known support that the United States has provided. And by the way, Nick DiPaolo just said we, and I was like, people are going to jump on you for saying we.
Yep.
He was correct when he was saying we, and there's nothing new. So U.S. warships, planes have helped shoot down missiles targeting Israel. This is not new. It was the same practice that we've engaged in as missiles were launched on Israel in April 2024 from Iran, in October 2024 from Iran, and December 2024, Houthi. It has been American standard practice to help shoot down missiles. Some other things that have been purchased from the United States, the THAAD missile defense capabilities and F-35s. So when he says we, it's pretty clear, yeah, we've been helping shoot down missiles just like we did when Iran launched missiles, ballistic missiles, in October, in April 2024, and the Houthi in 2024. To say that this is unique to this right now, we means we're going to war, is dishonest unless you believe that Tucker doesn't know that. That to me seems like a gotcha. And it seems to me like Senator Ted Cruz should have been better prepared.
He should have been prepared. He could have said, and this would have been the answer to that. Yeah, when the Texas Rangers won the World Series, I said, we won the World Series.
Right.
Same thing, all right?
Exactly.
Stop with that horse shit.
Yes, that would have been more effective. That would have been more effective.
You're going to tell me
I'm not Mr. I know everything. It must be nice to be so perfect.
And I like Tucker, but you're going to tell me Tucker's never used the word we in a context like that in the past?
Well, he's used we when referring to the United States taking out Iran in the past.
And I like him a lot. I just,
I like him less and less, not because of this. I just that kind of like people are looking at this like that's the kind of journalism.
Yeah,
they're
I didn't
looking
like.
for.
Yeah,
It's
I
not.
thought that was kind of un-Tucker, that the approach he took.
Yeah.
With his gotcha stuff. I thought that.
Well, let me ask you, who's dividing us?
For Tucker.
Is Donald Trump dividing us? Is Donald Trump dividing us? Are people like us here dividing us? Or is that kind of stuff dividing? Where people go out and say, anyone who says that Iran is a threat of nuclear is, they're just obviously they're a war hawk. Because it's the generalizations that are being thrown out. And I'm a conservative, and I think that Iraq was a mistake. I'm very clear about this. I think that most foreign entanglements are a mistake. I also think it's pretty damn clear to the entire world that Iran having nuclear capabilities. I heard one person say, they say death to America in Seattle. Should we bomb them?
Whoa.
Yes. But
Of course.
They don't.
are they
with
close
Chaz.
to nuclear capabilities? And have they launched hundreds of missiles into, if it was Seattle, a U.S. territory? That's the one thing, too. People say preemptive strike. Well, when is it considered retaliatory? Does it take 500 missiles? Does it take 800? How many terrorist cells being funded by Iran, let alone direct missiles fired, does it take for it not to be considered a retaliatory strike? That's a missing component here. So is Ted Cruz, is he calling for regime change? I think he should be clear about that. Is he calling for the United States to join the bombing campaign, us personally? What type of support is he thinking that the United States should be giving Israel? These are not the questions that were being asked. It was, what's the ethnic makeup? It was how many people? Oh, okay, all right. By the way, let me ask you this. Hey, how many people in Iran are Muslim? How many of them are practicing Muslim? How many people in Iran are listed as Muslim but now identify as questioning their faith or are atheists? These are important questions. These are important questions because it would also tell you how amenable they are to a Western civilization lifestyle.
Yes, exactly. And you know, one of the most important questions, we talked about this a little bit yesterday.
Answer's half, by the way.
Well,
half of Iranian Muslims say that they may not believe in
secular.
God anymore, or secular.
90-95% identify, though, as Shia. So that,
right.
I mean, it's almost similar to America in the Christian sense, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but with a trans thing, now it's here.
Yeah. Well, tomorrow it'll be Zia.
Zia.
Here you go.
Yeah, exactly. What I would like to ask,
this
is one of those things like ask the right questions. If you're trying to say that he doesn't know anything about Iran, fine, but don't start with like geography or something like that to make that point. Ask him what the 12th Imam means and what the leadership, the people in charge of the country believe about eschatology. That matters a hell of a lot more than is it Persians? Is it more the Turks? Is it more Christians? Is it this? That matters a lot. It matters a lot more than is it 80, 90, 100 million people because it tells you what they do with the capabilities that they acquire.
Let me clear all this up.
That's a really important question that I don't think Tucker Carlson could answer.
Okay, but let Nick clear it up.
I'm going to put it all in perspective. All this conjecture, all this argument. After October 7th, Bibi came to Trump, whoever was in office, and said, I'm fucking taking him off the planet. Off planet fucking Earth. Stop me. And that's where we are.
Yep, that's where we are.
Don't forget about October. And October 7th, to this day, to me, the most horrendous. It should still be fresh in your mind.
By the way.
And in your Jewish culture who's already, we had Germany and what they did.
There are people out there who believe it's a false flag. There are people out there.
What, October 7th?
They
Well, they can go their mothers. How about that?
Yeah, no. Well, they actually, I think it was, someone can bring this up, the foreign minister, someone in Israel. I believe they're making Greta Thunberg and her people, I believe they're making them watch.
They did make them watch.
Make them watch the October 7th tapes.
She didn't watch it, though.
No,
she didn't watch it.
I think they Clockwork Orange those pricks and tape their eyes open.
She didn't watch it.
Here's the thing. If Greta Thunberg leaves that and goes, actually, it doesn't matter, these people are, it tells you there's no convincing certain people.
That's exactly.
It doesn't matter. In other words, if they see women being gang raped and burned and children dismembered, because that was a big thing too. You ever seen these videos? Have you seen them? They must not exist.
But then they showed her a Pauly Shore movie. She jumped right there.
They found her twitching and going, biodome, biodome, biodome. Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, you can click around and watch one of these videos on YouTube, or head on over to Rumble and subscribe, where I am live every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Live on Rumble. YouTube is dead. Rumble did it. And on Rumble, you can say